This video is about the TMEA All-State Tenor Trombone Etudes from 2020. I am Dr. Bill Haugeberg, the Assistant Professor of Low Brass at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. My website and email are below if you have any questions or would like additional materials. This is a performance of the 2020 TMEA Tenor Trombone Etude No. 2. This study comes from Heime Voxman's Selected Studies on page 4, but is actually by Vladislav Blazhevich. It's in the key of G minor with a tempo marking between 60 and 76 beats per minute. For stylistic markings that you're going to want to know, lento, dolce e sostenuto, poco, ritardando, stringendo, rallentando, a tempo, and tempo 1. So go to the Google machine and figure all those out or ask your teacher. For phrase construction, you have 4 basic phrases. One that's 11 measures long in G minor, another in 6 measures long, that's in B flat major, one that's 9 measures long in D minor, and the final one that is 12 measures long in G minor, which refers back to the first thematic section. You're going to have arpeggios and scales in the keys of G minor, D major, D minor, C minor, B flat, and a lot of chromaticism throughout. Some common problems you run into: being too expressive on individual notes. Sometimes students will bloom on an individual note and they'll make the phrase very choppy and sound almost like a doigt as they play through it. So remember to express over long phrases. They might use too much or too little vibrato and make it so it's not very tasteful. They lose tone somehow. This etude is all about beautiful sound. So whatever you do, blow freely and make a beautiful sound. They might break the phrase in an awkward place, breathing right before the end of the phrase, making it sound somewhat like Stevie from Malcolm in the Middle. Students sometimes also play the etude without any rubato. They keep the sense of pulse so strict that it's almost like playing a very slow march. They might have trouble with tuning in the alternate positions, They might also play too strident in the upper register, so they need to work on developing the consistency of tone through all registers. They might have a muddy articulation in the low register and kind of a muddy, dull tone, so watch out for that as well. They might lose a sense of time and direction in the longer notes and sustains. Remember, every note is either leading somewhere or coming away, so this is a beautiful, beautiful etude for working on that. They might also have inconsistent alternate position choices, which create accidental articulations. So whenever you're dealing with a phrase and you have a melodic motif that you play one way where you're crossing a partial and one way where you're not crossing a partial, it's going to sound different. So make sure that you're thinking about your alternate position choices and not creating an accidental articulation by crossing a partial in one place where you didn't in a previous. Speaking of alternate positions, here are some alternate positions that I suggest. In measures 1 and 26, I play these Ds in 4th position. Measures 4 and 29, I will play both of those Ds in 4th position and the C sharp in 5th position. Yes, I know that's a little awkward, but I find that it makes that D to C sharp transition very, very smooth. In measure 7, I'll play this D in 4th position. In measure 8, I'll play the second D in 4th position and that second C sharp in 5th position. In measure 9, I play this D in 4th position. In measure 12, I'll actually play this first D in 4th position, but the second D in 1st position. So that way I get a similar articulation where it's not crossing a partial when I go from that D. I want to keep that slur pattern as marked. In measure 14, I'll play this D in 4th position. In measure 30, I play this D in 4th position as well. In measure 32, I play this D in 4th position. In measure 34, I'll play both of these Ds in a 4th position for consistency of tone and also consistency of tuning. And then in measure 35, I'll play this first D in 4th position. So here are some suggested practice strategies for working on this etude. Remember, slow practice makes fast progress. If you play too fast and you're making mistakes, you're just practicing making mistakes. Be sure to sing this etude to work on your phrasing, your intonation, and your style. This will help more than anything else that I can recommend. Be able to sing this melody as if you were auditioning on voice. Use a drone to solidify your pitch throughout. So, as I said with those phrase markings, where they had different keys of G minor, B flat major, D minor, and back to G minor, you might want to drone on those pitches when you're working on those phrases to work on intonation against a fixed point. Also, play the entire etude glist. This will help you solidify your tone and airflow throughout so you can blow freely. I would also then bop every single note. So play it short and move the slide as quickly as possible between the positions. This will help you work on the clarity of the front of each note, and then finally blend those two together so you get the airflow from the glissando and the clear front from that bopping exercise. Also, use a metronome and externally subdivide before adding rubato. It'll help you have a good sense of time, and then you can stretch from there. And practice this etude both with and without vibrato. So, thank you so much for watching this. If you want any additional materials or have any questions, feel free to email or visit my website.